Thank you very much, Rex. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Kinyua. He's an international speaker. Msimuone hivyo amekaa hapo. Really international. He was telling me he's from Uganda the other day. So let us listen to what he has for us. Aaron, these are career ambassadors. They are our students across the levels. So kindly speak to them. Tumpatie makofi. Meme.
So thank you very much, Dr. Joyce. I am really pleased to be your guest today. And I want to say that lack of exposure is one of the things that really affects every person. I want to say, Rex, and your friend, that it would be a tragedy if the world fails to know your name. It would be a tragedy if the world fails to know your name. And I want to say that the richest place in the world is actually the graveyard. Because in the graveyard are a musician who never became, the dancers who never danced, they are the writers who never wrote. There are potential businessmen and women who never became. And so I encourage you that you have a talent, please show it to the world. My name is Aaron Kinyua. I am a teacher by training, but I am a passionate public speaker and a author. I'm an aspiring author. This week, I received an email from KLP acknowledging the recipient of my first book, The Making of a Great Student. I am very passionate in mentoring young generation. Actually, that is one of my goals in life. And so I decided to discuss a student in totality in that book. I have also written my second book that is actually on the table of the editor by the title, A Walk in the Journey of Self-Improvement. I'm working in the third and the fourth, and I also have a skeleton of the fifth. That is my passion. Currently doing consultancy. I offer motivational talks to high school students, and I also do corporate training. I have actually not trained to do that. It is actually out of the passion that I have as a person since I was a young student. I will briefly talk about employability, the quality of anyone being employed, employability. And I want to start with a statement by saying that every career is employable, every course is marketable. It all depends on the individual mindset. It all depends on the individual mindset. And I want to say that the goal of education in totality is number one, to expose us so that our mind can conceive those things that we could not conceive before we came into the corridors of the university. That the role of education is to expand our mental abilities and capabilities, to open our mental eyes so that we can see things in the larger picture. I want to say that I want to challenge every one of us, number one, to change our mindset, to be more ambitious, to not settle for the little, but to see yourself in that large picture. Now today, if you see, there's a lot of changes, even in our education sector. The country is advocating on the change of the structure because of the change in dynamism of the society. Whatever is needed in the world today require people with changed mindset. And I want to say that I will challenge you actually. I always say that we have not been created to be employed, but to be deployed. That the difference between being employed and being deployed. And I will challenge you to deploy yourself. Deployment is where you have a mindset of creating employment instead of being employed. Though, of course, employment is a big aspect, as we'll be talking about it as well. I want to say that the world is in need of people who can create opportunities. And I challenge you to shun the dependency syndrome. The reason why in the world today, particularly in this country, why the country is struggling with so many unemployed graduates is because we have been trained to be dependent. I want to challenge the dependency syndrome. That our parents have empowered us to come to school, the university, and then we also go back to them to depend on them. The government have paid a big chunk of money for our education, but still we go back to them looking for jobs. I would like to challenge that dependency syndrome, because if you move out of the university with the mentality of creating wealth and employment, I can assure you for sure that it will happen. Idea people rule the world. Now, I started by saying that every person is employable. Every career is marketable. It depends by the individual who has that degree. Now, before we accept the generalization from the people that there are no jobs, try to exhaust all avenues of looking for jobs. And for those who will be looking for jobs, there are 3 ways of requesting. Jesus in Matthew 7, chapter 7 said, that ask and it will be given unto you. So the first level of requesting is actually asking. Asking. Sometimes to ask is a passive way of requesting. It is not the very active way, but the very passive way. We ask by phone calls, we ask by sending mails, we ask by creating networks. But he continued and said, seek and you'll find. Sometimes we may ask and it might not be given to us. And when that happens, please do not settle. Do not take a comfort seat. When you ask and you are not given, I challenge you to go a little bit higher in the levels of requesting and seek. Now, to seek actually is the second level of requesting. It is an active one because it involves moving from one place to another or simply being actively engaged in requesting for those jobs. So it is an action-oriented. But then he continued and said, if you don't find when you seek, please knock. And I will say that knocking is the highest level of requesting, the highest level of asking, and it is the exhaustive level. Now this is the level I would like us to settle for, because they say that when you knock, sometimes you'll find open doors. Now, in job seeking, knocking, not very many people knock. Very many people will settle by simply asking. And when they don't get, they probably give up. Some also seek but get discouraged on the way. But those who knock, the doors must open for them. I want to say that 2 years ago, I met 2 of my classmates in the university. We were not doing the same course. I trained basically as a high school teacher of biology and chemistry, and I taught one of you, Patrick Muchoi, the gentleman sitting there. He sat in my biology class, and I trained as a teacher. But then I have one friend who trained, he did BCom, another one did actuarial science. And we met over for a cup of coffee in Meltown 2 years ago. And they were telling me, you are a better that you did a course in education. I was employed 11 months after graduation. And so they were really telling me, we have been looking for jobs everywhere. I asked them, where have you looked for jobs? They tried to tell me, and then I challenged them, and I told them, where would you like to work? One of them told me various institutions where I would like to work. And then I challenged him to knock. Now I told him, if you want to knock, there are very many ways of knocking. Number one, you can offer yourself to that particular institution. I asked him, what have you been doing for the last 2 years? He told me, nothing much. And I told him, now that you have been doing nothing much, I challenge you to go to that particular institution of your interest. Offer yourself even for free. Demonstrate your skills. Demonstrate that you can work. I want to give the difference between that knocking and simply asking. Asking is simply maybe sending applications and so on. When you send an application, it does not speak the volume about you. Does not give you an opportunity to demonstrate what you can do. But when you offer yourself, it is a difficult one, but one way of being assured of getting a job. Number one, you are able to demonstrate that you can work. You are able to demonstrate some skills that do not come out very clearly in the certificate of your training. And so I challenged him. And he actually went ahead and employed, and sought for an attachment at Mary University of Science and Technology. Surprisingly, 3 months later, a gentleman who was working in the office, in the account office in the same university, got promoted and got a job in the University of Nairobi. Now, if you were sitting there as probably the human resource, would you go looking for another person outside when you already have a person who has given himself? I want you to sit down at the office of the human resource and tell me, will you go advertising for that job when you have someone who has been offering himself in the same office? That's how my friend got employed 3 months after offering himself. The other gentleman never offered himself. He went back to the village. He is still in the village. This gentleman is earning almost twice the salary I used to earn as a teacher. I want to say that. That is a knocking, a level of knocking. You demonstrate your skills. Now, what's the beauty of demonstrating what you can do? Institutions network. There's a lot of power in networking. Companies network. I do consultancy, and I have a few friends who do the same. Joy is among them. And so sometimes I may be offered a job to offer a training. I might not even be around. And so I will make a call to refer someone else. And so sometimes managers of various institutions also meet for a cup of coffee. And if you demonstrate very high level in the job of your definition, whether you have offered yourself for free, sometimes you can be recommended. And there's a law that operates in the world. It is known as the law of attraction. It's a law that you need to go and find out. Actually, it is very difficult for someone to get a job if he is not working. I don't know whether you have sat down. Sometimes back, one of the aspirants in the governor's seat of Nairobi, after resigning as a deputy governor in 2017 or 18, early 18 there, so many jobs came knocking. And I remember we were seated with a group of people. We were asking, how come that job keep on looking for this gentleman? There are so many unemployed people. The other day, I was studying the life of Oliver Uganda, the former VC of Kinyua University. Currently, she has been given a job in county government of Nairobi. She has so many of them. Then there are so many unemployed people. What is the problem? There is a law that operates in the world. We call it the law of attraction. It is difficult for you to get anywhere to attach yourself if you are idle, if you are not doing anything. And even when you be maybe out of the university, do not stay idle. Offer yourself, especially in the area of your interest. And so as I said, every person is employable. The funny thing nowadays is that people have not even been trained in a particular field and are working in those fields because of the skills, the personal skills that they have been able to acquire. And so I challenge you not only to limit yourself in that course that you have done, open yourself a little bit. Try to magnify the lenses of your eyes so that you can see things in broader perspective.